Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be making Thai Khanom Chup, and that is tiny little itty bitty fruits that are made out of mung bean paste. So mung beans are used to create this paste and shape little tiny miniature fruits that are then dipped into a glaze that makes them shiny and glossy, and they look absolutely adorable. Big thanks to my lovely viewers for recommending this to me. I had never heard of it before, but when I saw them, I said, I need to make them. So a little bit of history about Thai Khanom Chup. It was inspired by the Portuguese, who brought with them little marzipan fruits. Now, marzipan is a paste that's sweetened, made out of almonds, and oftentimes during the holidays, it's shaped and formed into little fruits that are colored and then given as treats, little sweet treats. Well, in Thailand, you can't find marzipan or almond paste, so what they used instead is mung bean paste and coconut and sugar. So the recipe I'm going to be using today is one that I found from Kin's cookbook. I will put a link to her YouTube channel down below. So I followed her instructions both for the paste and for the glaze. So the first thing you're going to have to do is prepare your mung beans. They come in this dry form. They look a little bit like lentils or split peas. They have this beautiful yellow color. They have a green skin, and that is usually polished off. You can order these online, or you can find them at your local Asian market. So first thing you're going to do is wash your beans, and Kin recommends soaking them overnight. Then steam the soaked beans in a bit of cheesecloth in a steamer for about 10 to 12 minutes until the beans are nice and soft. I, on the other hand, wanted to test this out using my Instant Pot, and I did not soak the beans because oftentimes you cook beans in your Instant Pot without the soaking. And then I placed them into a colander and I put them on pressure cook for a total of 30 minutes. And I would recommend using Kin's suggestion of steaming and soaking because my beans, after I ground them, were a little bit coarse. So don't do what I did, just do what she recommends. So once your beans are cooked, you're going to place them in a food processor and grind them till you get a very, very fine mixture. Now we're going to flavor our ground bean mixture. We're going to put them in a bowl, or you can put them in your pan. We're going to add an equal amount of sugar, which is 1.25 cups of sugar, and then 2.25 cups of coconut milk. So before we even turn on the heat, we want to mix this up really, really well. Then turn your stove on to medium heat, and we're just going to cook this down for about 10 or 15 minutes until it forms a really thick dough or paste. This is where a non-stick pan is really, really helpful because this dough is very sticky. There's lots of sugar and we don't want it sticking to the pan. So if possible, use a non-stick pan. So after 15 minutes, when a dough has formed, we're going to allow this to cool before we shape it into little fruits. So what you end up with is a very pliable, soft dough, and then we're going to shape these into little fruits and vegetables. Some of the ones that I noticed were eggplants, chili peppers, cherries, oranges, mangoes. So these are all very typical of Thai cuisine. And then you're just going to stick it on a toothpick. Then we're going to stick this in a bit of foam so it stands up nice and straight. So to form a chili pepper, you just roll it thinly and have it taper. Got yourself a little chili pepper, very cute. So after you made a whole army of these, you'll get something like this. We're going to just simply use food coloring to color our little fruits and vegetables. Add a couple teaspoons of water and then add your food coloring. Then use a clean brush or even a Q-tip and gently paint your little fruits and vegetables. Then stick them back in the foam and allow them to dry. It's been about an hour since you painted your chup, and now we're ready to glaze. And the glaze uses something called agar-agar, which I've used in lots of different recipes. I'll put the links to those recipes above, including the raindrop cake, including a coconut unicorn jelly cake. It's an amazing substance. It's plant derived. It comes from seaweed, and it's a really great alternative to, say, something like gelatin. Although the texture is a little bit different than gelatin, it's more of a kind of crisper jelly bite rather than like a shaky jiggly bite. If you've ever had it before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it has slightly different gelling properties than gelatin. It doesn't necessarily require refrigeration to set up. So in a small saucepan, we're going to add 3 tablespoons of sugar, 3 tablespoons of agar-agar. To make sure that your recipe is successful, I would recommend trying to seek out a Thai brand of agar-agar because, as I've learned, there are different variations in terms of purity of the agar. And then 2.25 cups or 500 milliliters of cold water. Now before we add any heat, we want to make sure we whisk this all together. Once it comes to a rolling boil, we're going to turn off the heat. Let this sit just a couple minutes because I've noticed the bubbles tend to settle out. If we do this right away, you're going to have bubbling in your glaze. Then we're going to pour about 1/3 of a cup into some kind of heat resistant container that has a nice kind of height to it. I would recommend, say, something like a jelly jar. Using the toothpick as a handle, we're going to take our painted look tap and we're going to dip it into our glaze. Pull it out and then skewer it back right into your foam. Allow this to dry. It sets up pretty quickly within just about 10 minutes, and then we're going to dip it again. So after I did my final dip, I allowed them to dry completely, and this is what I have. Yay! Look at this. Aren't they stinking adorable? So to finish these off, we're going to use a little bit of greenery. Parsley tops, I've got some chickweed, I've got some thyme, I've got some oak leaves. Here's my little chili pepper, and I'm going to gently twist it off the toothpick. Just carefully snip that off. Now we're going to take this little stem piece and put it right there. Oh, so stinking cute. Okay. So there's my little chili pepper. So I'm going to take an oak leaf and snip off the stem and just stick that right in there. So cute. Just like a cherry. Okay, here's my aubergine, also known as an eggplant. Let's see if I can insert that in the hole. So cute. Okay, let's make a carrot. I'm gonna twist this out of here and take that right in the hole. Oh my gosh.
Look, it's a carrot.
It's the Toodaloo Take Care Bye shirt. Get one for yourself, get one for your loved one. It's only offered for the next couple of weeks, so get it while you can. All right, back to our regular programming. These turned out so great. I am so pleased after all the effort that went into making these that these turned out so lovely. Now let's see what they taste like. I don't want to eat them, they're so stinking cute, but eat we must. I'm gonna take a little cherry. So this is odd. It looks like a cherry. Granted, it's a little bit more saturated than a real cherry. Actually, it looks a lot more like a maraschino cherry, but it's not a real cherry. Now this is an oak stem, so I won't be eating that. All right, let's give this a taste. Itadakimasu. Really, really good. It tastes like sweetened coconut. Delightful. The texture is really soft. It's actually very similar to marzipan in terms of texture. Soft, creamy, kind of nutty, but that's the coconut in this sense rather than being the almond paste. Delicious. Really great flavor. Level of sweetness is really nice as well. The coating on the outside of the agar is very interesting. Kind of similar to the skin of a fruit actually, but instead of fruit we have our mung bean paste inside. It's absolutely delicious. All right, let's eat our little mango. Oh. That one squirted out like a zit. That was kind of weird. Equally delicious. So there's a lot of things I like about this recipe. I love the transformation of taking mung bean paste and then of course shaping it into tiny fruits and then painting them and then dipping them. The dipping part was really, really satisfying. There's just something about a gloss finish that just makes something transformative and just makes it so lovely. I don't know what it is. It can be a glossy car, it can be glossy fruit, glossy candies. There's just something about it, glossy nails, that's just so lovely. The texture is a little bit odd though, because it's kind of stretchy skin on the outside, but the flavor of the mung bean paste is absolutely delicious, sweet and coconutty and rich, and actually very, very similar to marzipan in terms of texture and color really. So there you have it, Thai Khanom Luk Chap. I totally recommend making this. It's absolutely delightful and fun. I think kids would have a good time making this as well. I could imagine these on a cake, a little garden or fruit themed cake. Be super, super cute. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I hope you guys learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media. Make sure you get yourself a Tulu Take Care Bye shirt because they're only running for a couple weeks. And yeah, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Tulu, take care. Bye! There's a party going on right here, a celebration to last throughout the year.